Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm the Last Wanderer, and today we have Snapshot 21w17a, which makes some small changes for part 1 of the Caves and Cliffs update, but has some larger ones for part 2. First, there have been some changes to drip leaves. Small drip leaves can now be placed on moss blocks out of water, and the stems of big drip leaves will now break once again if you break the top off them. The textures of the raw metal blocks have also once again changed. They're now a little bit brighter than before, and their outlines are better distinguished. But the block that's gone through the most changes of this snapshot is actually copper ore. You used to only get a single raw copper for every copper ore you mined, but now that's been changed for both Deepslate copper ore and regular copper ore. Now you'll get between 2 to 3 raw copper for every copper ore you mine. These changes also do stack with Fortune enchantment, and with Fortune 3, you'll get between 1 to 4 times as much raw copper. That means you can get a max of 12 raw copper for mining a single copper ore, but you only have a 1 in 8 chance of that happening. With these changes, there is a slight downside though. Now, you need 9 copper ingots to craft a copper block instead of just 4. However, you will be able to craft more copper blocks now if you get the copper through mining, because before, if you mined 4 copper ore, you would only have enough to make 1 block of copper. Now, you will have enough to make 1 block of copper and have an extra ingot left over. This only scales up with Fortune. This crafting change though does nerf copper farms, because when this change was made, the drop rate of copper ingots was not increased for drowned. This means it'll take over twice as long just to make a single copper block when you use a copper farm. One last exciting change that's been made to Caves and Cliffs Part 1 is now Deepslate copper ore and Deepslate coal ore can both be obtained in survival, since it now naturally generates. Apparently, not only do Deepslate copper ore and Deepslate coal ore now generate, Deepslate emerald ore does now as well, which it will not in the data pack version or Caves and Cliffs Part 2. This means Deepslate emerald ore will be one of the hardest blocks to obtain, since it only generates under mountain biomes and only when it would intersect a Deepslate patch. Also, it will only generate in chunks from 1.17. As soon as 1.18 comes out, ore distribution will be changed, so the generation of Deepslate emerald ore will become impossible. Obviously, as soon as 1.17 comes out, I recommend getting as many Deepslate emerald ore as possible, because it quite possibly could become the rarest block in the game, since not only is it rare to find in the world, but it will only be available for a limited time. Plus, having a lot of these will give you the ability to show off, if Deepslate emerald ore does indeed become discontinued in the future. With those changes out of the way for part 1 of the Caves and Cliffs update, I am now on the data pack world to show you the changes for part 2. First, we have the changes to ore veins. As I've discovered, the ore veins I showed in my last snapshot video were actually very small ones. Last snapshot, it was common for ore veins to generate with thousands to tens of thousands of ore blocks in them. Well, in this snapshot, that's been changed, so there's a little bit less, and ore veins generate less frequently. But raw metal blocks can now generate in these ore veins, though they're also quite rare. Besides these ore vein changes, there's also a new cave type. The new cave type is the Noodle cave. They're a lot like spaghetti caves, except they're much, much narrower. Some are so thin that you can't pass without breaking any blocks, and they also have some very narrow inclines. With the addition of Noodle caves, cave systems are now even more interconnected than they were before. There's barely anywhere you can look underground and not see a nearby cave. One final note I should mention is that Noodle caves are a reworking of the previously confirmed mesh caves. And with that said, that's all I've got for now. So, thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out some of my previous videos, and come back next time for my next video, which will be a quick tutorial on how to install the data packs for part 2 of the Caves and Cliffs update. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye. In case you're wondering, the lag in the data pack is still horrendous, especially when you cross chunk borders.